Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:34 in Stone Temple Pilots of Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Eventually, it's going to clear up, and we're going to see sunny skies with a high of 73 today. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 69. Giggity. All right. It's 47 right now in downtown Springfield.
Man, what a show today. How'd you like to win a 4-pack of tickets to see the playoff-bound Springfield Thunderbirds take on the Providence Bruins this Friday night?
Yeah, but that would be nice. But really, I'm looking for tickets to see a guy who dresses up like John Bon Jovi and has a similar name.
Well, you'll get that opportunity, but you'll also get an opportunity to win a 4-pack of tickets to see the Thunderbirds in the playoffs.
You mean Don Jovi and the Thunderbirds?
Well, one winner wins the tickets to the hockey game, another one wins the tickets to the show.
Because, I mean, well, you know, if you have a friend, you could have the friend call up who lives at a different residence, win the Don Jovi ticket. You go to the Don Jovi show on Thursday, and then on Friday you go to the playoff game because you won the Thunderbirds tickets. It's simple as that.
I don't know if the rules allow you to do that, but I'm not the one who's making up the rules, so what do I know?
Well, you'll be living on a prayer trying to figure that out.
I see what you just did there. A round of Am I the A-Hole coming up today?
Yes,
and
you are.
Conversation I had last week with an author, David Leaf. A book called Smile, The Rise and Fall and Resurrection of Brian Wilson. It's actually an amazing story about the album that went unreleased for years by the Beach Boys. And David's got a great story to tell about it. And we'll play that after 8 o'clock today.
I've never heard of this Brian Wilson before, so I don't know who you're talking about. But we'll do your little interview.
Maybe one of the greatest songwriters of the last 100 years or so.
Why do we keep running this out?
I don't know, because we're going on too long.
Oh, well, I guess we should just end it and move on, and we'll do Hollywood Trash in about 10 minutes.
Bax and Nagle at Rock 102. Rock Classic Rock. It's 5:49 and Cheap Trick with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Eventually going to be clearing, partly cloudy with a high of 73. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 69. All right. It's 47 right now in downtown Springfield.
Hollywood Trash is brought to you by Western Mass Masons. Call them for all your foundation and chimney needs.
Somehow you still care about what's happening in Hollywood. So, from Tinseltown, 3,000 miles away, it's Steve Nagle's Hollywood Trash.
Pope Francis, we can talk about him during Hollywood Trash, right?
Yeah, why not? He's on TV.
As everyone knows, Pope Francis died yesterday of a stroke and irreversible heart failure following a long bout of double pneumonia. He had actually fallen into a coma before he passed. He was 88. The funeral will take place sometime between Friday and Sunday. Per his wishes, Francis will be buried at the Basilica of St. Mary Major in Rome. Here's something you might not have known, though. Before he was Pope, he was a nightclub bouncer in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Can you imagine you're causing a ruckus in a bar in Buenos Aires? By the way, you got to really cause a ruckus to be tossed out of a bar in Buenos Aires. But imagine you get tossed out by the Pope?
Yeah.
And you're puking on his little shoes? I mean, come on, man. You're just asking for eternity in hell.
But this is before he wore the papal stuff. He was wearing, Old Navy back then.
You telling me he doesn't like walking around the Vatican with a T-shirt that said security on it and a lanyard that showed he could get backstage?
I bet you he still had Husky stuff from Sears. He had Husky jeans.
Listen, you don't want to mess with no Pope.
He also once owned a Harley, but it's not clear if he ever rode it. It was given to him by the company in 2013, and he auctioned it off the following year. Oh, yeah, he was at Bike Night with John Heyman a couple of years ago. You fall down, we'll pick you up. Hey!
Oh, yeah? The Pope will resurrect you.
There you go. He prop you right back up. He also vowed he would baptize aliens, like the outer space kind, if they ever came here and asked for it. When the Lord shows us the way, who are we to say, no, Lord, it's not prudent. Let's do it this way. Who are we to close doors on people? Or aliens?
I think he was joking about the aliens.
You don't know that.
Well, I don't think he was all that serious.
Yeah, but hasn't the church made a stance already? Like, we're here to accept it if it's true.
Well, it's a universal church. They're going to turn anybody away.
Kanye West. Oh, boy. Whatever else you want to say about Kanye, the one thing you can't deny is he knows how to keep the world talking about him.
That's true.
Yesterday, he got everybody again by releasing the video for a song called Cousins, which is about the incestuous relationship he had with his male cousin when they were kids.
Oh, good God.
In the caption, Kanye explains that they found his mother's dirty magazines and used to look at them together and, quote, act out what they saw. He doesn't know how old he was, but his cousin was 6. He ends it with this: "My name is Yi, and I performed blank on my cousin till I was 14. Here's another fun fact for you.
Jesus.
This cousin is in prison for killing a pregnant woman a few years after Kanye told them they shouldn't be looking at dirty magazines anymore.
Yeah. Well, wait till he gets out. I'm sure he'll have something to say to Kanye.
You know, I got a cousin who's into this kind of thing." The imagery in the video includes gun violence, a burning cross, a written homophobic slur, and a picture of a large-breasted woman with swastikas where her nipples should be.
All right, you know what? From a marketing standpoint, this is all of one big, giant, bad idea.
Yeah, but you know, if he sells 10 albums...
He's still not going to get paid what he deserves on Spotify.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, you know, you put out all this stuff. Somebody's going to buy it. There will be people out there who are, you know, staunch fans that will continue to buy his stuff.
What will happen is someone will stream it for free and say, yeah, no, I don't want that in my house.
George Clooney says he and his wife Amal have never had an argument after more than 10 years together. Quote, "We're trying to find something to fight about."
Okay, George. Sure.
And I'm sure she's probably, you know, like quietly, criticizing. He doesn't even take the trash out.
Well, this woman is like far superior intellectually than he is.
Yeah.
If he knows better, he should just shut up and say, yes, dear.
Maybe that's how it works.
Yeah, because
he just does whatever she wants.
She will dance intellectual circles around that guy.
The Academy made a new rule that members are required to watch all nominated films in each category before voting for the Oscars.
Which they never had to do before.
Why was that never a requirement? They also said
being voting on the Baseball Hall of Fame, but never having actually seen a game of baseball in your life.
They also said that AI won't help or hurt a film's chance of being nominated. Okay.
That's fine, but still, you should be at least watching the movies you're voting for.
A list of the greatest one-liners in movie history includes, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn," and "I'll have what she's having," and "I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum."
All 3 great films. All 3, except the Roddy Piper film. That was pretty awful.
You don't. It's called They Live, the 1988 classic.
I'm not proud to say I actually saw it in the theaters and thought, as I'm watching it, is this going to end soon?
Yeah. I think my favorite line was, "The dingo took my bubby to Jesus." And that Meryl Streep Cry in the Dark film.
Yeah, that's good too.
That was a good line. That was a good line that everybody remembers.
Sometimes my favorite line in a film is where it says "the end" at the end of the film.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. The Chainsmokers crashed a frat party in Arizona, but only 13 minutes into their set, the cops showed up and threatened to start arresting anyone who was underage.
And smoking in a public place?
In a clip they posted on Instagram, the Chainsmokers said they paid the fine in order to keep playing for another 15 minutes. They didn't say what the fine was for. They also didn't say what college they were at. The set included Roses and Closer. Oh, that sounds like a fun time.
Sure.
And following the death of Pope Francis, Kim Kardashian honored the pontiff the only way she knows how, by posting a throwback from her 2014 Vatican visit where she's wearing a sheer dress and standing next to a statue of a saint with her butt arched, like a spiritual offering.
Well, she must have something to say.
"Oh my God, the last time I paid respects to someone that holy, Ray J anointed me with the oil of gladness right between the cheeks like a sacral smush sesh in that sex tape you can purchase on YouPorn for $39.95.
Caitlin.
Well, I never got that done and dirty with your mother, Chris Kim, but I once performed the Stations of the Cross on her meat monastery using nothing but a bottle of Chianti and a hand puppet. I explored her sin tunnel like a Vatican tour guide on Molly.
What are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is I rang the cathedral bell until it sounded like Ave Maria on a slip and slide. You see, Papa Caitlin's packing the incense thurible. It swings low, it smokes, and it makes all the altar boys nervous. Habemus pap smear. That's Latin, you know.
Yeah, I figured so much.
Well, in case your mother, it's pig Latin. And that's your Hollywood trash on Rock 102.
Kitchen Design Center.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint, Cabot Stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, I don't mean to shock anybody here, but due to the disruption of my training schedule, I was unable to compete in yesterday's Boston Marathon. Following my cardiac procedure last month, doctors recommended that I ease up on my rigorous training. And so, at the request of my attending cardiologist, I chose to follow his advice and let somebody else have a shot. Now, I know this may be shocking to some of you people, but yesterday the Boston Marathon was won by a couple of folks from out of town. In this case, the 129th running of the Boston Marathon was won by John Career of Kenya with a time of 2 hours, 4 minutes, and 45 seconds. Interestingly enough, Career's brother Wesley won the Boston Marathon back in 2012, thereby making them the first set of brothers to win the Boston Marathon. Should also point out that fellow Kenyan Sharon Lokedi won the women's division with a record-breaking time of 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 22 seconds, obliterating the previous record by as much as 19 seconds. Folks, you can't even drive 26 miles through the streets of Boston in 22 hours, 17 minutes, and 22 seconds. Not unless you got a Charlie card for the T or a store value link card, and even that's not a complete guarantee. Listen, it's been 10 years since an American fellow won the Boston Marathon, and even that guy was from out of town, having been born and raised in Ethiopia. In fact, you'd have to go back to 1983 to find the last American winner. And while I'm sure that I would have given some of these youngsters a real run for their money, I chose to stay home out of caution and an intense lack of desire to have to run back to my car. So congratulations to both John and Sharon, because thanks to the favorable exchange rates, that $1.13 million check they got is going to be worth $147 million in Kenyan shillings, which means that your second fastest run time will be from the airport to a bank when you get home. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. You know, when we're talking green grass, the name is Scott's. Scott's 4-Step, Scott's Turf Builder. You want to go to Rocky's, spend $150 on any Scott's product, and get a $25 bonus reward. Details at any Rocky's store or at Rockies.com. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch. Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock at 6:11, and AC/DC with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It's going to be eventually clearing today with a high of 73. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 69. It's 47 right now in downtown Springfield.
Man, a jammed up show today. We not only have a 4-pack of Thunderbird hockey tickets to give away for Friday night's game against Providence.
Yep.
We'll also have another round of Am I the A-Hole? And an interview that I did while you were away with an author named David Leaf. This is a guy that spent a lot of time with Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. He's written a brand new book called Smile, the Rise, Fall, and Resurrection of Brian Wilson. He's also the guy that put together the film, I forgot the name of the film. he put together a film.
It's been a great interview.
No, it was, but he put together a film about Brian Wilson and about this album, Smile, which he started in 1966 and then abandoned and didn't come out until 2004. It's actually maybe the greatest rock story of all time, and we'll play that interview after 8 o'clock.
I believe it was called The Book About Brian Wilson.
No, well, that's there have been books called that, but this is totally different.
Well, you know, I'm always on the TikToks and looking at different videos and whatnot.
Yes.
And by the way, I have been banned from sending messages on TikTok until Friday.
You can't like no messenger?
Yeah, I
type
can't.
link?
I can't message people. I can't send links through the messenger portion of TikTok, because last week, when I was on vacation,
Yeah.
and I was getting these messages. You know how you can tell they're catfishers?
Yes.
It's like chicks with these giant racks, and they're messaging you things like, "Hello, handsome. Just thought I wanted to talk to you today." And you can tell right away that these people are fake. Because, look at me. What chick with, a big rack like that is going to reach out and
What
go,
chick wouldn't want to do that for you?
Well, I'm just saying, who just randomly does that?
Well,
usually there's some minor chit-chat other than, "Hey, handsome, how are you?" kind of look, whatever. The thing is, I responded with, "What's up, slut?" And so then
that was a term of service violation.
And the bot reported me. Can you imagine that? They reported me.
You mean their fake account was talking about the abuses of your account?
Yeah. Apparently, you can't tell a catfisher, call them a slut, which is, I think it's kind of an injustice.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, so I can only view videos on TikTok right now. I can't send anybody messages, but a couple of the videos that I've seen lately are people talking about this possibility of a serial killer in New England. Have you seen any of these?
You just kind of alerted me to this just now. I hadn't hadn't seen it.
Now that we're talking about it, you're going to see them all over your For You page because the app is listening to us.
Oh, I know it is.
But here's this story from Fox 61. People across New England and users online are expressing concerns after human remains were recently discovered in Connecticut and Rhode Island. On Thursday, Connecticut State Police and local law enforcement launched an extensive investigation at an apartment on Allen Street in Groton. Over the past 2 days, they've been quiet about the details, leading to widespread speculation from the public. However, after rumors swirled about a body being found, law enforcement confirmed that this was not the case. This comes after the Groton Police Department reported last month that human remains were found on Mitchell Street adjacent to the entrance of the Colonel Cemetery, just 2 blocks away from Allen Street. Police said the deceased was a woman. Now people are worried that the discovery on Mitchell Street and the matter being investigated on Allen Street may be connected and criminal in nature. Police have not announced whether the 2 cases were connected. These rumors have been fueled in part by the fact that police in Providence announced Wednesday that they pulled a dead man from a Woonasquatucket River. I never heard of that before.
I don't know that one.
It's another crappy Rhode Island thing going on there.
I'm sure it is.
But anyway, no evidence has been presented connecting the Providence discovery to the one in Groton last month or the active investigation occurring there this week, but that hasn't stopped TikTok users from weighing in. State police are also investigating possible human remains in Danielson, which were discovered earlier this month. Police have not said whether the Danielson investigation is connected to the other ongoing investigations in Groton and Providence. As concerns rise, social media users and several Groton residents told Fox 61 they are asking police to address the public if they should be aware of a potentially active serial killer in New England. In light of this, Groton police are asking to be vigilant and aware of their surroundings, and anyone with information regarding the March 19th discovery of human remains or this week's investigation is encouraged to contact the town's police department. But, as we've seen with online videos, the power of suggestion goes a long way when you're one of these TikTok influencers and you got thousands and thousands of followers, especially in the area where, you're trying to connect the dots to these different remains found. When I don't know much about, I guess we should ask a guy like Matt Phelps, like when does it become, connected in a way where you can say, yeah, this is some sort of serial killer case?
Well, I would think that the investigators involved have figured out something that connects some of these cases, if in fact they are connected. But they're probably not going to tell you all that because, one, they don't want people to panic, and then two, they may not have enough evidence in hand to support that theory. It could be just be a theory. And the problem is, and listen, I understand that people are fascinated by the idea of serial killers, but sometimes these keyboard investigators are not really all that helpful, and they're not always right. And so sometimes that actually causes problems in the investigations for the investigators who are trying to get information from people. Oh, yeah, I read that on Facebook. This is exactly what happened.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. These people who just believe everything they see on the internet. I got to tell you, TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, it's entertainment. It's not anything factually based.
Oh, that's where you are wrong, Steve.
And when you start
you can't
throwing rumors
you can't
around,
put stuff on TikTok that's false.
I see
can't put
false
lies.
things on TikTok all the time. But I'm also aware enough to know that a lot. Listen, when I put a video up, it takes me quite a bit of time sometimes because you're trying to get it right and you're trying to, these things don't just. All people are seeing are the finished product. You're not seeing all the flubs and all that, all the other stuff that goes along into making those things. So when people do this to get likes and clicks and all that other stuff, that's what I'm trying to do. I made 4 cents last month, which was great.
Don't spend it all in one place.
You got to have 10,000 followers to get at least $1, I think. That's how that works.
Yeah, that's not right.
But again, these people who just like throw these opinions out there, and then because you live in the area, you're like, oh, I'm going to share this, and then you repost it, and then it gets other people thinking, hey, maybe there is in fact serial killer out there, but you don't know. You don't know that for a fact.
You don't know. And here's the thing. If you were to go purely on the internet, and you're absolutely right about this, the internet is no place to get accurate information. If you went on the internet to try to investigate this stuff, there are rabbit holes that will take you to any number of things that have nothing to do with nothing. Like, for example, this morning, just out of curiosity when you brought this up, I said, how many serial killers are active here in the United States? Okay? I get 2 answers, and they couldn't be more different. The first one is, according to the FBI, there are between 25 and 50 active serial killers in the United States at any one given time. It then follows up by saying, another report suggests that there are around 2,000 serial killers currently at large in the United States. So there's a big difference between 25 to 50 and 2,000. Now,
because is the 2,000 number because they haven't pieced together information, or is it more of a speculation thing?
See, that would be a question for someone who was thinking critically. But for someone who is on the internet, just banging away at their keyboard or on their phone, looking to to really dig into an investigation, that's the kind of information that can sometimes be very misleading. You're absolutely right. How many of these are unsolved, and are there 2,000 unsolved, and only 25 to 50 people who are actually killing people? There's no way to know that accurately.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course some of these people are going to be so, disjointed in their thought process on these kinds of things.
Yeah, I think the internet is the devil sometimes. It's really not useful for much of anything other than promoting something.
It's a cesspool. It's nothing but tubes.
Well, I mean, and today is the start of that Karen Reed trial. How much stuff have you seen online? And it's all speculation. There's no people can come up with as many theories as they want to. You can reframe something, a million different ways, but you're not on the jury, and you're not seeing everything that the jury is seeing and the jury is going to see. So to be like, well, this is what happened here, and there's people in the house. It's hearsay.
I think if it takes you 3 weeks to impanel a jury, something's gotten out of control.
Yeah.
Something has gotten out of hand. It shouldn't take 3 weeks for any jury to be put together. But yet, this is what they've had to deal with.
Yeah.
Because everyone's got an opinion, and everyone's got an opinion that might not be right.
But not to make this about Karen Reed, because I'm just more trying to make the point of you can't believe everything that you see in front of you that is, unless it's like an actual video of somebody doing something. But even then that is an AI. It could be an AI generated
deep fake kind of thing.
It drives me nuts.
I would love to know or to have access to something that actually tells the truth on the internet.
Right. Listen,
thank God there's X.
I've been trying to manifest $1 million with all these gurus online, and I still haven't seen one dime of it yet. If you just think that you have $1 million, you'll have $1 million.
Yeah. It took you 5 episodes of like 3 minutes apiece to get to that.
Right. It's all in your angel numbers. That's how they're doing it online. But don't believe everything you see.
It's 6:23 with Bax and Nagle at Rock 102. 26 at Bax and Nagle at Rock 102.
Liam Neeson has the forecast, and he will tell you.
Rock 102 wants to help you get your home improvement project done with Pick Your Project, brought to you by Dave Miner Exterior Home Improvement. You could win $5,000 in cash, which you can use towards replacing your roof or skylights with Dave Miner, getting porcelain tile flooring for any room in your home from Best Tile, updating your kitchen from Kohl's Building Supply, design, installation, repair of fences from A Signature Fence, or even updating or maintaining your HVAC system with Integrity Heating and Cooling. You can even finance your project with Luso Federal Credit Union. And you'll want to win that $5,000. It's simple. You just go to rock102.com before noon on Friday. One winner chosen at random. It's Pick Your Project, brought to you by Dave Miner Exterior Home Improvements and Rock 102 Springfield's Classic Rock.
You can pick your friends and you can pick your project, but you cannot pick your friend's project.
And you cannot pick up your prize after 30 days.
That's right. Are you ready to laugh?
I am ready to laugh.
Let's laugh.
It's Bax and Nagle's Joke of the Day.
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you.
On Rock 102.
I make you laugh.
Springfield's Classic Rock.
Why did the porcupine get fired from the balloon factory?
I don't know, Steve. Why did the porcupine get fired from the balloon factory?
Because he had sex with his secretary.
That'll get you fired every time.
Was that wrong?
Was
I gotta plead ignorance here.
And I know.
Bax and Nagle in the morning on Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock.
Here's your Western Mass News for
6:31 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news, and it's brought to you by Gary Rome Hyundai. Technicians get up to a $5,000 sign-on bonus right now. Learn more at GaryRomeHyundai.com/family. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. As Catholics around the world mourn the death of Pope Francis, the College of Cardinals is preparing for his funeral and the process of selecting his successor. According to the Vatican, the body of Pope Francis could be moved to St. Peter's Basilica as soon as Wednesday to allow worshipers to pay their respects. As the world grieves the death of Pope Francis, now begins the papal interregnum. I don't even know what that is. The time between people's death and the election of his successor. The Pope's body will lie in state in St. Peter's Basilica for mourning, and his funeral, spoken in Latin, will take place within 6 days of the death. By request, Pope Francis will be buried outside of the Vatican at the Basilica of St. Mary Major, and as the Holy Seat remains vacant, U.S. Cardinal Kevin Farrell will temporarily become the acting head of the Vatican.
Acting Pope Kevin.
Interim Pope.
Mm-hmm.
That's like being the police chief of a town and never getting the job.
Yes, like interim head coach.
We got Pope Kevin, who's taking things over right now. We talked about this yesterday. Can you imagine having a pope named Kevin?
Yeah, Pope Kevin, Pope Gary, a couple other names that seemed like I mean, great, proud names, just not real popey.
You know, is last time
like Pope Steve.
Yeah, right. Well, that doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound
no,
right.
Pope Steve or Pope Mike or any of those.
It would never happen.
You got to have like a very elegant Italian name.
Yes.
We had John, Pope John.
Then John Paul.
But John Paul.
And George and Ringo.
Right. And then who else did we have?
We had...
but you never say like Pope Johnny or Pope Jimmy.
Pope Jack. Would never happen.
Billy.
Yeah, right.
You're a grown man who's the Pope. Drop the nickname.
Now, in the Papal Fantasy League that's now out, there's like of the top 5, 3 of them are named Pete.
Yeah.
Pope Pete. So then yesterday I get this TikTok run of conspiracies against Pope Peter. Apparently some sort of prophecy that that will be the last pope. I'm not buying it, frankly. I think these popes are going to keep going on and on.
Yeah.
But still, Pope Pete.
Well, is it Peter, though? Do they say Peter?
There's Peter and there's Pietro, and I think there's a guy named Frank.
See, if it's like Pope Petey, like that wouldn't work.
Pope Pistol Pete.
Yeah,
that would be great.
You got to have a full name.
I think you kind of do, and I think it needs to be kind of like have a Roman touch to it, like a Pope Ignatius. That's a popey sounding name.
That is, well, it also sounds like some kind of surfer dude. Pope Ignatius, bro.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know who it's going to be, and according to my bracket, I didn't do very well in the NCAA bracket. I can't imagine I'm going to do very well in the Pope bracket.
Well, you never know. Are they taking bets on this thing? There's probably a betting site out there where you can do prop bets on who the new Pope's going to be.
It's got to be.
I'm going for Petey. That's a long shot.
Yeah, that's
the odds are like 1,000,000 to 1.
3 of the top 5 names are Pete.
Multiple crews worked to put out a car fire on the I-91 exit Monday afternoon, and during the incident, a dog was found inside of a storm drain. What?
Now, how did that dog get into the storm drain?
West Springfield Fire Lieutenant Spear said the crew, he doesn't have a first name?
No.
Oh.
Lieutenant
Spear.
Lieutenant is his first name.
Well, that's a good name. It was like he was destined to have that job.
Frankly, I think the parents were a little presumptuous.
Anyway, he said that crews were called to the car fire located on the highway on I-391 near the I-91 exit. The vehicle was fully on fire, and the gas tank ruptured and spilled fuel towards the storm drains in the area. Due to the environmental risk that the fuel leakage posed, the Mass Department of Environmental Protection was alerted to the incident, responded to the area. While fire crews worked to divert the gasoline away from the storm drains, they discovered a dog inside one of the drains. Lieutenant Spear said that the dog was alive and appeared healthy and did not seem to be connected to the car fire. West Springfield Animal Control arrived at the location to take the dog into its care. The dog has now been reunited with its owners and was reportedly missing for a month before the police's discovery. Wait, what a weird turn of events.
So this dog was missing for a whole month?
Yeah.
Was the storm drain like a new location? Was he like out on the streets looking for handouts or what?
I'm not sure. In a Facebook post by TJO Animal Control, the dog named Allie was reported missing last month from the Forest Park area. That's a long way to go, too. Forest Park to I-391.
Now, what route they take?
Well, I guess they could have gone up Columbus Avenue and all the way through the north end of Springfield, and maybe going up past the women's jail, Bass Bay, Bay State, the women's jail, and the junkyard up there, and then right over the line at Chicopee, and then you get into I-391.
Could they just take Main Street?
Yeah, I guess they could have done that too. But anyway, Allie will be medically evaluated to ensure she doesn't have any mental health, any health concerns from her time away from home. Maybe she does have mental health concerns.
I'm sure there's some post-traumatic stress things that a dog can handle or that can have to deal with.
One individual was injured as a result of the fire and was taken to be treated for burns and smoke inhalation, but is expected to survive. The Chicopee Fire Department and the Mass State Police provided mutual aid. What a weird thing to happen, though. Like it was almost like that car was meant to go on fire. Sometimes the Lord works in mysterious ways.
Oh, that is the truth.
Listen, I know this dog needs to be found, so I'm going to set this car on fire.
Yeah, stranger things have happened. Not many, but there have been stranger things.
But at least the dog is going to be okay.
Well, that's the good news.
Yeah.
The bad news is the owner has probably violated a leash law.
Yeah, isn't that a kick in the pants? You get your dog rescued after being a month missing, and then you're handed a fine by the dog officer going, next time put him on a leash.
Right. Crate your dog.
Yeah. A 32-year-old man who made up to $8,000 a month booking trafficked women for nearly 10,000 dates in a high-end brothel ring out of Cambridge and other East Coast cities was sentenced to a year in prison. That's it?
That seems like a slap in the wrist.
Jun Mayung Lee, a Korean national living in Dedham, was sentenced on Friday to 1 year in prison followed by 1 year of supervised release, according to U.S. District Judge Julia Kobik. The Lee is subject to deportation after his sentence is completed, according to the U.S. Attorney Leah Foley. Lee was ordered to pay $200,000 in forfeiture, the amount of money he made while he worked at the brothel ring. Lee pleaded guilty in October to one count of conspiracy to persuade, induce, entice, and coerce one or more individuals to travel in interstate or foreign commerce to engage in prostitution, and one count of money laundering conspiracy. He was arrested and charged in the fall of 2023. And it goes on to say how he was, involved in this whole thing. But again, a year?
I would think that would be worth more time. I mean, trafficking humans for the sex trade seems to be a little bit stronger crime than just a year.
Well, if he gets supervised release.
Was this part of like a plea deal, maybe?
Maybe. It probably was.
Yeah, like you had to give us the list of your clients.
If he's got to get deported afterwards, I guess he gets to go. Opening.
But isn't that always the way? These businesses are operating all over the place, apparently, and we don't know anything about it. You know, how some businesses survive without any marketing budget at all surprises the hell out of me every time. You got to market your business.
You do. How else are you going to... You got to take out those back page ads.
Well, I don't even think is that even a thing anymore. I don't even know what that is.
I don't know. The Valley Advocate used to have all those ads in the back of the
the personals.
Yeah.
That was the best part of it.
Guard.
Yeah. Ask Isadora and the personals were usually the best thing.
Ask Isadora.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I miss that gal.
Whatever happened to her?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Opening statements for Karen Reed's second trial are set for this morning. Live updates will begin when the trial gets underway at 9 a.m. This story will be updated throughout the day with the latest testimony.
No kidding.
The 45-year-old Reed is charged with second-degree murder in the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, who was found outside of a home of a fellow Boston police officer in Canton on January 29th of 2022. Norfolk County prosecutors say Reed struck O'Keefe with her SUV while driving intoxicated. Reed's attorney says her car never struck O'Keefe and that others are to blame for the death. The trial is taking place in Dedham's Norfolk County Superior Court. It'll be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out.
It sure will be. That's why I got Turtle Boy as my homepage.
Just to make sure you get the right updates.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm getting all the updated news.
Whenever I throw out the idea that she may have hit him.
Mm-hmm.
I get these emails and texts going, "You haven't seen the evidence. Go look do your research." How much research do I need to do when I've seen this woman change her story like 4 times about what happened that night? And to me, when you change your story that many times, it seems to be that,
Except I've said this before. I mean, when you're drunk,
you don't remember.
And when you're drunk and telling a story, sometimes the story changes several times. And when you're sober after being drunk and you're trying to tell the story, you're not often telling the accurate story because you were drunk or blacked out, even if she says, I never black out.
And it's almost like, all right, fine. If, let's say the guy went into the house and somebody beat the crap out of him and he got bit by a dog.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you finish him off? The guy, it took him hours to die out in the snow. If you're going to try to not have somebody talk, wouldn't you do something to...
I've never been in that situation, Steve.
Yeah.
I would like to think that I would not have run the guy over or not known or been drinking that heavily.
You've never had 9 drinks at a bar called McCarthy's and then drove home with the full glass of booze?
Well, ironically, I could say yes to just about everything other than that. Did I drive home? Probably not. But I have had multiple drinks, cocktails, beers in a bar named McCarthy's.
Yeah, and again, all these people who are like, well, you gotta look at the evidence. Look at the but there is no evidence. It's just theory about what happened. Now, if I'm watching her dad do an interview like a year after that whole thing happened, he's on TV and he's like, and she said to me, "Did I hit him? I may have hit him." And then nobody has ever talked about that again.
Well, maybe in this trial it'll be brought up again. Who the hell
Who knows? We'll find out. Your Pioneer Valley forecast today, it is going to be a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 73. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 69. Giggity. It's 47 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Hi, it's Hank
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 6:51, and Jimi Hendrix of Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be eventually clear today with a high of 73. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 69. All right. 47 in downtown Springfield.
An exciting round of Am I the A-Hole coming up next hour. And after 8 o'clock, I'll be talking to David Leaf. His brand new book, Smile, The Rise, Fall, and Resurrection of Brian Wilson, is it's out. It's actually, I'm starting to read it now. It's actually really, really good. But David is also the guy that put together the film Beautiful Dreamer. You know anything about Brian Wilson's Smile album? He started it in 1966, had a mental breakdown. It stayed on the shelves until 2004. It was the great white whale of mysterious, unreleased records until it finally came out, and it was amazing. And so it's a hell of a story, maybe one of the best rock stories of all time. So David Leaf after 8 o'clock.
Remember we did the letter yesterday, and I was talking about that guy who wrote, and he wrote everything in the subject line.
Yes.
And I responded to him, and I said, why are you so angry? Have you never listened to the show before? His complaint was about how we joke about people in the news.
Right.
And I was like, well, have you never listened to us before? Because that's exactly what we do every day. And then he told me to save that stuff for my comedy act and just do the news. Because, we're reporters.
Yes.
Right.
As opposed to a morning show meant to entertain.
So I had asked him, I said, why are you so angry? Have you never listened to the show before? And then he writes back yesterday, yes, I have. Not angry, just tired of listening to you mouth off about other people's misery.
See, this is why I think this is a guy who either is related to or has been someone in a news story that we may or may not have said something about.
Probably.
And he's probably a little tender as a result of it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird how people react to something that we've been doing since I've been working here.
Yeah, I've been doing it for now over 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's just what I do.
Even before I was doing it, there was somebody else doing it.
Yes, even before I got here,
Yeah.
there were people involved in making light of news stories that may or may not have affected local people.
We had that one lady, and then that other lady, and then the other lady,
And there was that one guy.
and then that one guy,
There
and
was
then
that
the lady.
four or five politicians that got into a little sticky wicket.
Yeah. I don't know what you want from me.
Steve, for the
So-
life of me, I don't know what people want.
So I did write him back. And
What'd you say?
I said, I think WMAS is more your speed.
They wouldn't know a funny comment if you bludgeoned them over the head with it.
Well, it's a little lighter fare over there.
Lighter fare.
Yeah.
It's like you're eating air. It's
like,
so light.
It's like going to a smorgasbord at a salad bar.
Ugh.
With just lettuce and tomatoes.
No
And
dressing.
Yeah, right. It's dry. Just the driest salad bar you could ever eat at.
There's one crouton in a bowl.
Yeah.
And that's all you get.
Yeah, here
and
you
you're going to
go.
like it.
Here you go, Slappy.
Hey, yesterday we had the folks from 52 Sumner here in the studio. They got a bunch of great shows coming up the next couple of months, including the big show for Thursday, Don Jovi. You can't imagine what kind of music he does.
He's Donnie Jovi. You know him.
Yeah, it's like a Bon Jovi tribute band, and very, very good. And we happen to have a pair of tickets to that show Thursday night, 8 o'clock. Doors open at 7 Thursday, April 24th. 10th caller right now at 293-1021. Good luck to you.
There you go.
Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. 6:55 on Rock 102.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint, Cabot Stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? As many of you know, human beings are a fallible and delusional species who are often capable of seeing how the world really works. Oh, sure, we may talk a big game, but the truth is that most of us don't have any idea what's going on around us, and as a result, we are prone to intense bouts of shocking stupidity. For example, when the Dallas Mavericks traded 25-year-old superstar Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis and a fistful of coupons to any participating Wendy's location, everybody in America knew this was maybe the single dumbest trade in NBA history. And yet, Mavericks general manager Nico Harrison insisted that despite the relentless calls for him to be fired, he has claimed that it was the right move for the team. Yet, according to the NBA playoff brackets, the Lakers are in the playoffs. The Mavericks, who lost to the Celtics in the NBA championship last season, are not. Why? Because they traded their best player to the Lakers. Yesterday, Nico Harrison held his season-ending press conference and claiming that he still stands by his decision to trade Luka, but then went on to say, I know Luka was important to the fan base, I just didn't know to what level. Folks, this would be like saying, I know your body depends on oxygen, I just didn't know how much. It's like saying, I know you loved your mother, but you seemed like you might have been on the fence. It's like saying, I know you like puppies, unicorns, and rainbows, I just didn't realize you liked them all at once. Look, all you needed to do was go to a Mavericks game and see how many $200 Luka jerseys were in the crowd to know that perhaps trading your most popular player and getting almost nothing in return except mathematical elimination was probably going to be a mistake. And to not realize it even several months later is probably worth a big fat bundle of unemployment. I mean, I know you like your job. I guess none of the fans realized how much. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. The same Ego battery powers your mower, string trimmer, and blower. What do you know? All three are on sale at Rocky's. The Ego self-propelled mower, handheld blower, and string trimmer. Bonus. And you got a spare battery to boot. Goodbye, gas. Hello, Ego. You'll find it all at your neighborhood Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch. Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 7:10 and the Boss on Rock 102.
It's going to be clearing eventually with a high of 73 tomorrow. Sunny with a high of 69. Giggity. It's 47 right now in downtown Springfield. Are you ready?
First of all, before you do anything, very good possibility we may give away some Thunderbird playoff hockey tickets this hour.
This hour?
This hour.
Shut the front door.
And not one ticket. 4 tickets.
What?
I know.
For a playoff game?
For a playoff game this Friday against Providence.
Coveted tickets. So
Yes.
now I should ask you, are you ready for another round of Am I the A-Hole?
Yes.
I don't even know how to respond to you anymore.
All I said was yes.
I know that's all you said, but, you know.
Yes, and I'm ready.
Let's go with, these are kind of wedding-themed stuff.
Okay.
All right? First of all, am I the a-hole for leaving my girlfriend at a wedding after she told the bride I used to have a crush on her? I, 27 male, was invited to a friend's wedding last weekend, not someone I talked to every day, but we were close back in college and stayed in touch. The bride and I had a flirty friendship back in the day. Nothing ever happened, but I did used to have a bit of a crush on her. Early in my relationship with my girlfriend, who's 26, I mentioned in passing just one of those, haha, yeah, college was messy conversations. The wedding itself was great. My girlfriend and I got dressed up, had a few drinks, danced a little. At some point, I noticed her and the bride talking by the bar. They were smiling, laughing. Nothing seemed off, up until the bride started acting really weird around me, like distant and uncomfortable. Later, one of the bridesmaids, who I also know, pulls me aside and says, hey, just so you know, your girlfriend told the bride you used to be in love with her and that she should watch herself tonight. I honestly didn't know what to say. I confronted my girlfriend about it, and she didn't deny it. She said, I didn't want to cause drama, but I thought she deserved to know the history. I told her there was no history, and even if there had been, saying something like that at someone else's wedding was completely out of line. She got super defensive, said I was blowing it out of proportion and caring more about the bride's feelings than hers. I told her I was embarrassed, hurt, and honestly kind of shocked by how casually she tried to stir the pot at someone else's wedding. She ended up dismissing everything I said, told me to get over it and stop making a scene. So I said, F it, and I left. I got in the car and drove home without her. I figured she'd find a way back with one of her friends. She knew several people there. She eventually did, but now she's saying I abandoned her, and a couple of her friends are messaging me saying I humiliated her. I'm an awful person just for leaving without her. I don't feel like I was in the wrong to walk away, but I was just super upset, and I'm starting to think the way I handled it was a bit over the top. So am I the a-hole?
She shouldn't have said anything. It's this woman's wedding. They should focus on her, not about what happened in the past in her life. Just, it's her day.
What?
And this isn't about, whether you may have hurt the bride's feelings. You humiliated your boyfriend.
Yeah, why would you say that to somebody?
Yeah. I mean, at the wedding, maybe in a couple weeks or a couple months, maybe you jokingly say something. But even that, you're embarrassing your boyfriend.
Somebody says, not the a-hole, completely inappropriate. You had a crush, you weren't in love. Your girlfriend completely blew it out of proportion and made the situation uncomfortable for both of you, the bride and her husband. Your girlfriend is the a-hole. I don't know if I would have left somebody somewhere.
I probably wouldn't have abandoned. We would have left early with both of them.
I would have had a long, silent car ride back to wherever she lived and dropped her off and then probably never talked to her again.
See, now that's the gentlemanly thing to do.
Yes. Chivalry is not dead.
No.
It's alive and well.
Abandonment, you know what? Considering what she did, she shouldn't have any complaint either, though.
Well,
I mean, she made an ass of herself.
I don't know. I mean,
I wouldn't have abandoned her, but nevertheless, she shouldn't be terribly surprised or hurt by that.
Yeah, I don't know. She needs to. I wouldn't have left her. That's the part where it gets me, where he's kind of sharing the.
All right, I can get on board that.
Because I would have, because then at least you would have some say, yeah, I didn't leave her there. I took her home and I never talked to her again. That would have been the gentlemanly thing to do.
You know, there are some conversations that you can have with a boyfriend or girlfriend, a husband or a wife, that really should stay between just the two of you.
Yeah.
And don't really have to become public knowledge or, presented to the public. It's just between the two of you. That would be, and this would be one of those things where it's really nobody's business anymore. It's a former crush. A crush.
A crush that never
materialized.
To anything. He obviously kept that to himself. He told his girlfriend in confidence that, you know what, I had a thing for her back in the day, but you know what, we're just friends.
And she broke that confidence. Yeah. To hell with her.
Well, she's definitely not marriage material.
No. Good God, no.
Number 2, am I the a-hole for asking my fiance to lose weight before the wedding because I, quote, pictured her smaller? I swear, the more I read these and the more, every week I say the same thing, that these are made up.
Nope, these are real.
No, because with the advent of AI, like, people are just, using that tool as something to try to gain more clout.
I'm not so sure about that. Tell us what the scenario is here.
I proposed to my girlfriend of 3 years last summer. I love her. She's funny, smart, and we have a great relationship. But lately, she's gained a little weight. Not a ton, just enough that the image I had in my head of our wedding day doesn't quite match reality. So I sat her down and gently said, I've always imagined you looking a certain way when we got married, and I'd really appreciate it if you tried to slim down a bit for the big day. I offered to pay for a trainer, meal services, whatever she needs.
Mm-hmm.
She was stunned. She said, I thought I loved her as she is. I told her I do, but that weddings are like photo shoots for your future grandkids. Now she's barely speaking with me, and her sister called me shallow. I swear this wasn't about attraction. It was about expectation. So am I the a-hole?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're a big, giant, deep pile a-hole.
I don't know. Let's hear this guy out for a second, will you? We listen and we don't judge, Bax. That's how we do things around here.
That's exactly what we do during this bit.
Yeah, that's what we do. But yeah, you are in fact the a-hole.
Yeah,
why would you say something like that to anybody?
I got news for you. When you get married, you're probably both going to pack on a few pounds.
Yeah,
it's just, and as you age, you don't stay as slim as maybe you did. You're not quite as supple or hard abs or any of that stuff. So get used to it, pal. That's life. She put on a few pounds.
You're going to put on a few.
You're going to put on a few pounds. And I'm sure if she is someone you love, it doesn't matter whether she's 2 pounds overweight or 20 pounds overweight. It's
right.
the person you love. You love what's encased in all that heaviness.
I think these things are made up.
I don't know, Steve. I have no.
And number 3, am I the a-hole for beating up my friend I caught sleeping with my girlfriend of 3.5 years? You know that overdone scene in movies where a character walks in on the other woman getting railed by the best friend? Yeah, that was my weekend. Still shaking as I type this. I, 36 male, beat the crap out of my friend of 10 years when I saw what I saw. He didn't press charges, didn't even fight back, and said later he knows he had it coming. Obviously, I didn't, and so did she.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, I did not touch my now ex-girlfriend, 33, but holy S, did I curse her out too. Am I the a-hole for attacking my scumbag buddy? No serious hits other than the nosebleed, but the fact that he really did fight back is what's effing with my head. Like I hit someone who couldn't defend themselves.
Well, I mean, nothing ever gets resolved through violence. I think we can all agree to that. But when your pal, your buddy, your chum is taking it to your girl, that's a violation. That breaks every level of bro code.
This fall, as somebody said, this falls under unwise but not morally blameworthy. That's actually not a bad comment.
It's interesting.
My only issue would be the beating may have given him some sort of vindication. He did you wrong and you kicked his ass, so you're square type of thing. But overall, F him. A few days of physical pain doesn't come close to the mental and emotional pain of this. Ghost them both and don't give them a chance to get any sort of closure.
That's good advice.
I can see people getting angry at something like that, but I think the best thing is to just walk away. Let them be unhappy with each other. Because if she's doing that with him, then she's going to do it, and he's going to do it with somebody else.
Huh. This is it's interesting, and I don't have a whole lot of time to tell the story, but something very much like this happened to me.
Really?
Yes.
You wound up walking in on a girlfriend who was or something with another guy?
In fairness, at that time, we had been broken up for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was in my dorm room, and my roommate brought this young lady into the room, not realizing that I was asleep on the bottom bunk of our bunk bed. And at which point, all of a sudden, they climb to the top bunk, and the bunk starts to shake, and I wake up. And who do I discover with my roommate? The girl I had broken up with 3 weeks earlier. Oh, nuts!
Well, at least you were broken up.
We were broken up, but I may have been elevated at that moment.
Yeah,
and told her to leave.
That's what you did?
Yeah, I forgave him pretty easily. But
you forgave him?
I was not happy.
I guess you got to share a room together. You got to have some sort of...
We're halfway through the semester. Midterms are right around the corner. Yeah, what are you going to do?
Now, what year was this that you were in here?
This would have been my sophomore year.
Oh.
Yes.
The third sophomore year?
Only had one sophomore year.
Well, how many? Yeah, but you were in school for 6 years.
5.5.
Right.
I prefer to think of those last two as senior year 1 and senior year 2 and then senior year 0.5.
So you weren't in your sophomore year, the one that lasted a year and a half.
No. Yeah. I didn't extend that. This was sophomore year.
I'm a little disappointed in you. You didn't lay the beat down on the guy.
Again, it was my roommate, and I was more shocked by her than with him. I mean, to come into my dorm room with him, that was a shocker.
See, I think you were the a-hole in that situation.
I might have been
handling that more violently.
I'm not a violent guy, Steve. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Just not that weak.
Or were you drunk too? Yeah, probably
possible.
Oh, well, there you go. That explains everything.
there you go.
Yeah. I'm glad we got to all the good parts.
It's 7:22 on Rock 102. It's 7:26 of Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Liam Neeson has the full forecast for you.
Hey, this week on Baxi's Musical Podcast, my guest is Christian Dryden from the band The Ritualists. They got a brand new record coming out today called Too Pure to Cure. It's their third record. It's actually really, really good. And that interview is available right now on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, the Rock 102 YouTube channel, rock102.com, as well as the Rock 102 app. And it's all brought to you by Metro, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram at Chicopee and Rock 102 Springfield's Classic Rock.
I would tout that $30 dinner, or what's $30 dinner and a comedy show this week because at the Shortstop. Because we're raising money for the Whip City Animal Sanctuary. And that's getting close to being sold out. So if you want to get a ticket for that, you can go to my socials and find the Venmo code and whatnot for that.
Gotcha.
Coming up on May 2nd, though, over at Shaker Farms Country Club, also in Westfield, Fitzy. Remember him? From TownieNews.com.
Ooh, vaguely.
He's him and I are going to be doing a show out there.
Shut up.
Yeah. And it's Friday, May 2nd. Tickets are also $30. That's a dinner included kind of meal.
Okay.
Kind of deal going on there. And he's ready to rock and roll and come back and do his comedic antics and have a good time, and you can enjoy some chicken dinner.
Well, that sounds terrific.
Yeah, how about that?
Sounds like a lot of laughs. Both shows.
Both shows.
Not one show, but both shows sound like a lot of laughs.
Yes. So if you want tickets to that, you can message me for that too.
Well, there you go.
How about that?
We have news coming up next to Rock 102. 7:30 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news brought to you by Gary Rome Hyundai. Technicians get up to a $5,000 sign-in bonus right now. Learn more at GaryRomeHyundai.com/family. His local radio icon, Steve Nagle.
Yeah, it's kind of odd that you start a newscast after just hearing about somebody with erectile dysfunction.
Well, I mean, it does set a certain mood.
Here's a stiff Steve Nagle.
Here's a guy that has some erectile dysfunction.
here's
Time for news. Here's Steve Nagle.
Here's a guy that hasn't been able to get it up since 2007 without the help of a pill.
Here's a guy who looks like he's one of them inflatable waving arm guys outside a car dealership. He's flipping and flopping all over the place.
It's like trying to shoot pool with a rope. Yeah. Multiple crews worked to put out a car fire on the I-91 exit Monday afternoon, and during the incident, a dog was found inside of a storm drain. West Springfield Fire Lieutenant Spear said that the crews were called to the car fire located on I-391 near the I-91 exit. The vehicle was fully on fire, and the gas tank ruptured and spilled fuel towards the storm drains in the area. And due to the environmental risk that the fuel leakage posed, the Mass Department of Environmental Protection was alerted to the incident and responded to the area. While fire crews worked to divert gasoline away from the storm drains, they discovered a dog inside one of the drains. Lieutenant Spear said the dog was alive and appeared healthy and did not seem to be connected to the car fire. Well, how's he going to light something on fire like that with no thumbs?
So is this really a news story about a car fire on the highway? Or is this a story about a dog in a storm drain?
There's more information about the dog being rescued than there is about the car fire.
That's why I'm confused, because by the looks of the story, it seems like this is about a pup in a storm drain.
West Springfield Animal Control arrived at the location to take the dog into its care. The dog has now been reunited with its owners and was reportedly missing for a month before police's discovery. In a Facebook post by the TJO, the dog named Allie was reported missing last month from the Forest Park area. Allie will be medically evaluated to ensure she does not have any health concerns from her time away from home. One individual was injured as a result of the fire and was taken to be treated for burns and smoke inhalation, but is expected to survive. It's more about the dog.
Now, wouldn't it be weird if there was some sort of confusion and the car owner wanted going to like Dakin or TJO?
I was on my way to the adoption center.
And then this happened.
What?
What are the odds?
The Chicopee Fire Department and Mass State Police provided mutual aid. It is kind of coincidental that you would find. Maybe there are no coincidences. Maybe this was meant to happen for a reason. I see those TikTok videos all the time.
Yeah, maybe. What kind of dog was this, by the way? Was this like a Shih Tzu or a Cockapoo or something like that?
Watch your language. First of all, it was a wiener dog.
Probably fell right through one of them holes.
It probably did.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, it was I don't even know what they call them. It was spaniel, like a cocker spaniel.
A cocker spaniel.
Yeah, which is also dirty.
It is, in a way. And
you ever have your cocker spaniel inside of a manhole?
Wait, are you asking if I have a choice?
Yeah, well.
Was it either or in the manhole?
It was either or.
I see.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
No, never had the spaniel there.
Never a cocker spaniel in the manhole.
Why all these hard choices?
They're showing the picture of this thing. That poor little doggy sitting in the little hole. That poor little cocker spaniel.
Oh, poor little thing.
Yeah, he was all wet inside.
How he got into that tight spot, I'll never know.
Well, sometimes those things are unexplained. Those things stretch, I think,
I don't think they do.
You don't think so?
I don't think they're that flexible.
I don't know.
I think there's a limit to what they can take.
Maybe we should stop talking about that.
I don't know, Steve. It's on everybody's lips today.
Maybe that's what the guy was getting mad about.
Yes.
The guy complaining. Stop making comments about things in the news. That poor little dog. Don't talk about the Cocker Spaniel that was inside the manhole.
What do you think? We're hurting the dog's feelings? It's not like we're taking away a toy.
Probably. The death of Pope Francis coverage has continued with the reaction from all around the world. This is Western Mass News. Those we spoke with say they're deeply saddened by the Pope's passing and will continue to remember and honor his legacy. Olga Stinga, the director of operations at Santa Anna's Institute in Sorrento, Italy, shared how his passing could impact members of the church. For our community, it's a great loss because we felt this Pope more than ever. Pope Francis being pronounced dead at the age of 88 Monday morning following Easter Sunday was a surprise to many. He was 88.
Well, I mean, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise. He spent the last month of his life in and out of hospitals.
This was unbelievable and unexpected. He went into the hospital with double pneumonia back on Valentine's Day. As a devout Catholic in her community, Stinga told Western Mass News that Pope Francis brought positive change to the state of the Catholic Church. He was the man who was able to embrace everyone, everyone, men, women, he didn't care. And he made a change in the church, in a church that was quite closed, conservative. While folks across the world mourn Francis' passing, parishioners told Western Mass News they'll never forget his legacy, and then they go on to talk about local people.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about whether there have been odds set on who will become the next pope. Apparently, there's a website, Odds Checker, that has Pietro Parolin, 70 years old, as the next pope. The best odds.
Who is?
His name is Pietro, which is Peter Parolin. I believe he's Italian.
I like his dishes, the Pietro dish.
Yes.
You ever have those?
We had one here just to make sure we weren't getting mold in the building.
And we did have mold in the building.
Yes, it was that Pietro dish was starting to grow hair.
Well, that adds to the ambiance of this radio station.
Nevertheless, he's the odds-on favorite right now. But once you get into the conclave, all bets are off.
Speaking of which, you made a video last week while I was out about the different things around this radio station and how dirty that board is and how dirty the microphone is. Which microphone was that, by the way?
It's the one that I use.
Ew.
Yeah.
That's gross.
It's the one that I use, Dan uses, Pat uses, Natalie uses it. We all use this one.
You know what, though? They put covers on them and you don't, and I don't. We have these windscreen things that we're supposed to put on these microphones, and we don't have them.
I don't even know where one is right now.
They were delivered in boxes a few years ago.
Yeah, well, there's not one here, and there's like some sort of schmutz on top of this thing.
It's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
And so is the board. Well, has all the dust on it.
The whole purpose of the video was to show all the exciting, dynamic aspects that there are to professional radio broadcasting.
It was disgusting.
And I showed all the many different parts of the building that are falling apart and should be condemned.
It was so gross, and I'm like, I can't believe we put our fingers on that. That, you know what that is? That's like everybody's dead skin from their fingers on the board, on the when you were showing the board, and it had all that pile up of.
I remember when this was a perfectly clean piece of equipment.
Yeah, but it looks clean now, looking at it by glance. But when you had the camera on it, there's something about the camera that brings out like the real nitty gritty.
Kind of like when a camera adds 10 pounds.
Yeah.
This is like adds 10 pounds of dead skin.
That's disgusting. This whole place is disgusting.
I tried to show pictures of all the places where black mold is growing. There were actually a couple of pictures that I did not include, including some of the fire exits.
Yeah.
In which you can leave the building and go down like a flight of stairs, a small flight of stairs outside, but the stairs are no longer connected to the building.
Yeah.
They're just freestanding things.
Have they broken ground on the new building yet?
No, not yet, but they should.
When is that supposed to happen?
I don't know, sometimes between now and when hell freezes over.
You know, I went to the Guggenheim Museum once.
Yes.
You ever go to the Guggenheim?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you notice like all the models there that said never built?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's happening here.
Yes.
Frank Lloyd Wright designed the new building, and they're selling it to us like, look at the great architecture this shack is going to have as opposed to the shack you're in now.
Well, the good news is we're not going to have to hire a wrecking crew to knock this building down. If the entire staff just stood on the side of the building and gave the building a push, it would probably fall over.
Probably, but we're going to have a smash room in here.
I can't wait. Can't wait.
A wrecking crew, like Bump and Boogie, or I'm Not Gonna Miss You wrecking crew?
No, that's the wrecking crew full of musicians.
Oh, I see. After years of talks and planning, talking about new construction, talks and planning, construction on a brand new Agawam High School is officially off and running. Western Mass News went to the site, spoke exclusively to the town's mayor, and has details on this new chapter. Agawam's Mayor Chris Johnson stopping by the site early Monday afternoon to see it for himself. I'm very excited. It's been a long time coming, many, many years in the process. It's great to see them coming out here and beginning to do the laydown for the first days of the project. Now, unlike my predecessor, I'm not going to name the school after me while everybody's out of session.
Well, I mean, he didn't, Mayor Sapelli, I don't think he named it after him. There were people that wanted to name it after him. I don't know if he was the guy that said, let's name this after me.
Yeah, but there was nobody there for the vote except him.
Well, it's just a coincidence.
I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's like, well, we're doing this vote when nobody's around during summer break. Check mark. I'm going to vote for this to be in my name.
Well, as someone who just had a bathroom named after him, it is quite an honor, I will tell you that.
Yeah, but that's a bathroom. I can handle that. If they named this entire building after you, you know how upset I would be about that?
I wouldn't allow it. I wouldn't want this building named after me.
Why not?
Because it shouldn't be named after me.
It's got nostalgia to it.
It should, but I don't want this building named after me. If you want to build the next building, you got to argue amongst yourselves, but I don't want this perfectly condemned, mold-ridden hellhole named after me.
The Western Mass News crew witnessed excavators, mini dozers, and workers break ground to get this multi-year project going. It's like a bunch of little kids out there. Oh, look, they're bringing in the Tonka trucks.
Well, there's a video today of Matt Price, our buddy Matt Price in Western Mass News, standing next to Mayor Johnson, and they're both pointing like, "Oh, look at that over there. There's some things that we're doing over there.
We got an excavator over here, and we got a bulldozer over here, and over here we got one of them forklifty things."
And Matt was like, just saying, "Oh, that's very good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor."
What else you got? Well, we got those big tubes that just lay on the ground in a pile and nobody knows what they're used for. And then we get those blocks over there. And then we got a whistling construction worker hooting and hollering at all the ladies that walk by.
And what you're seeing here is a bunch of people standing around while one guy works. That's called the union.
That is called. Yeah. This is watch these guys have coffee while another man works his ass off. That's Jim. He just started.
He doesn't have a lot of seniority. Yeah. That's why he's in the hole.
He hasn't made his 90 days yet. He's not on the list.
That's called probation.
Yeah, and once he makes it past that 90 days, he'll be standing in line with the rest of us coffee drinkers. America runs on Dunkin'. Price participation may vary. It's a limited time offer. Your Pioneer Valley forecast today is going to be mostly sunny eventually with a high of 73. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 69. Giggity. It's 47 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock. It's 7:51. And Blue Oyster Cult with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102.
It's going to be eventually clear today with a high of, what did I say? 73 tomorrow, sunny with a high of 69 giggity. It's 48 right now in downtown Springfield.
So a couple of things. Next hour, an interview that I did actually while you were on vacation with David Leaf. He is the author of a brand new book called Smile, the rise, fall, and resurrection of Brian Wilson. It's a story about Brian Wilson's album Smile. The Beach Boys in 1966 had just finished Good Vibrations, and the record company had given him all kinds of leeway to make what he thought was going to be the greatest album he had ever made. And it didn't work out. He fell apart. Mike Love didn't like the record, all kinds of pressure, and he backed out, put it on the shelf, and it did not see the light of day until 2004. It is one of the greatest rock stories of all time, and the book is fabulous. In fact, David Leaf was also part of making a film called Beautiful Dreamer, which came out about 20 years ago. Amazing story, and I'll be talking to him in just a few minutes here on Rock 102.
Did your spring cleaning? Do you do spring cleaning?
We got a little bit done, yeah.
I need to get a dumpster again. I need to.
It's the best thing ever.
So much crap to get rid of. Did you ever go through the clutter in your house going, why do I even have this?
Every single day of my life.
Yeah. People on social media are talking about things that we are 100% brainwashed into believing we need. And here are some highlights. An endless stream of clothes and accessories to follow every trend.
Admittedly, I'm not that great at throwing away clothes I no longer fit into.
Expensive weddings.
Yeah, that's a waste of money.
Yeah. Expensive funerals, especially pricey coffins. Here's the people like spend so much money on honoring their loved one by spending tens of thousands of dollars on a funeral.
It'd be like wanting to be buried in like a Yeti cooler. What are you spending that kind of money for?
You're not going to enjoy any of it. You might as well just get in a pine box. Walmart sells them.
Something to be said about that.
Yeah. Social media. Nobody really needs social media, do they?
No.
A 12-step skincare routine.
It should be one step and that's it.
You see these people who sell this stuff online?
Oh, yeah.
It's like a Ponzi scheme.
There are people who have made lots of money trying to sell that stuff on like the Home Shopping Network many years ago, and now it's all on the TikToks.
Yeah, I don't know. It's you can clearly tell it's like scammy.
I don't know. Hard to tell.
Well, it's like overpriced.
You should see Dave James' skin. It's beautiful.
Oh, I'm sure it's absolutely. Who's Dave James? Super white teeth to the point where it looks unnatural.
Yeah. I know a couple of people like that have had like the whitening done.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look right.
Plastic surgery.
Yeah, that's...
Like the shots and the lips and the butt implants.
Yeah. I don't need that.
A car. Or a new car immediately after you've paid off the current one.
Not immediately. I like to go payment free for a while.
Yeah, or drive it till the last lug nut falls off.
Yeah.
And then you buy a new one.
There you go.
Fabric softener. I used to use fabric softener, and I realized what a waste that was because it actually doesn't clean the clothes because you get a film on your clothes.
It just makes them feel softer.
Yeah, and I did this this thing one time with the stripping of the laundry. All right.
Laundry stripping, yeah.
Where you put borax and washing soda in a tub and you let it soak and all of the crap comes off your clothes. Mm-hmm. Because if you use fabric softener all the time, it makes a buildup on your clothes.
And you don't want that.
No.
It's not healthy. It's all chemicals.
The newest phone every year, no matter the price. I have to get a new phone.
I got a new phone this year, and it took, and I went from like a iPhone XS to a 16.
Look at this. Look at the back of this.
Yeah, that's
I look like the kind of girl that celebrates birthday week with this broken phone. But what happened? I had this OtterBox thing on the phone.
Yeah,
that I paid probably like $75 for because I know I drop stuff a lot. And now the OtterBox has been hit so much.
That's broken.
That's broken, and it finally peeled apart yesterday. I couldn't do the volume controls and all that stuff, so now I have to get a new phone. However, the phones are pretty expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the new phone. I'm pretty happy with this, but I waited too long. I was at like the point where I couldn't hold the battery charge for more than like 10 seconds at a time.
Well, this was 2021 I bought this one. So it's 4 years. It's just, I don't know.
What kind is that?
It's an iPhone. It's like a
iPhone, which one?
11, I think.
Yeah, see, that's
the problem.
I was holding on that was even older than yours.
But I don't want to buy, I'm not buying a 16. Those things are like $1,600 because I buy them outright. I don't buy them. I don't do that whole plan with the the AT&T.
Yeah, see, I did the plan because I also upgraded my daughters too.
Yeah,
so I did the plan, but I need the biggest one ever because I do so much stuff on my phone.
I guess. Hey, we have tickets to give away.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I've been
The Springfield Thunderbirds are in the playoffs taking on the Providence Bruins. Game 1 is in Providence on Wednesday night. We have tickets to their home game on Friday. It's a 4-pack of tickets. It's Game 2, the first round of the playoffs, as they get set to try to go for the Calder Cup. 10th caller right now, 293-1021. Good luck on Rock 102.
Call or text us in. And now, Bax's View from the Couch. Brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint, Cabot Stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, I don't mean to shock anybody here, but due to the disruption of my training schedule, I was unable to compete in yesterday's Boston Marathon. Following my cardiac procedure last month, doctors recommend that I ease up on my rigorous workouts, and so, at the request of my attending cardiologist, I chose to follow his advice and let somebody else have a shot. I know this may be shocking to some of you people, but yesterday the Boston Marathon was won by a couple of folks from out of town. In this case, the 129th running of the Boston Marathon was won by John Korir, that's it, of Kenya, with a time of 2 hours, 4 minutes, and 45 seconds. Interestingly enough, Korir's brother Wesley won the Boston Marathon back in 2012, thereby making them the first set of brothers to win the Boston Marathon. Should also point out that fellow Kenyan Sharon Lokedi won the women's division with a record-breaking time of 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 22 seconds, obliterating the previously held record by as many as 19 seconds. Folks, you can't even drive 26 miles through the streets of Boston in 2 hours and 17 minutes and 22 seconds. Not unless you got a Charlie card for the T or a store value link card, and even that's not a guarantee. Listen, it's been 10 years since an American fellow won the Boston Marathon, and even that guy was from out of town, having been born and raised in Ethiopia. In fact, you'd have to go back to 1983 to find the last American winner. And while I'm sure I would have given some of these youngsters a real run for their money, I chose to stay home out of caution and an intense lack of desire to have to run back to get my car. So congratulations to both John and Sharon, because thanks to the favorable exchange rates, that $1.13 million check they received is going to be worth $147 million in Kenyan shillings, which means your second fastest run time will be from the airport to a bank when you get home. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. You know, when we're talking green grass, the name is Scott's. Scott's 4-Step. Scott's Turf Builder. Go to Rocky, spend $150 on any Scott's product and get a $25 bonus reward. Details are at the Eddie Rocky store or at Rockies.com. I'm Bax. That's my view. Probably should pay attention. Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock. It's,
when have we ever been known to pay attention to anything?
I know. Well, we were focused on some other things.
Well, there's this really funny guy on TikTok who does dramatic readings of song lyrics.
Yeah.
And he dresses up as different characters, and he just reads them verbatim, and it's actually very funny.
And he was doing California Girls.
In a German voice,
which is great.
Yeah.
Does he normally do things in a German voice?
You know, he did "Don't You Want Me," that song, but he did it with he did both parts. In one video, he does you're right. I was working as a cocktail waitress in a cocktail bar. It's very funny. The guy's name is Stuff. If you're looking for him.
All right. Well, that's good. As you know, we have. Speaking of the Beach Boys, I'm of the belief that Brian Wilson is a freaking genius, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'll go to my grave. maybe the biggest musical genius of the last 100 years.
Remember that time you interviewed Al Jardine and you asked him nothing but questions about what it was like to work with Brian Wilson?
Yeah, that's what I did.
And Al Jardine was like, who is this a-hole?
You know what? I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, Al Jardine seems like a nice fella. It seems like he's enjoyed those coattails for many years.
Yeah, I guess so.
A brand new book has been released. It's a very, very cool book from author David Leith called Smile, The Rise, Fall, and Resurrection of Brian Wilson. David is also responsible for the film Beautiful Dreamer, which came out 20 years ago. The story of the Beach Boys album Smile is one of the greatest rock stories of all time. And I spoke to David Leith last week on Rock 102.
Hey, Bax, how are you?
Very good. So I'm so excited to talk to you. I saw A Beautiful Dreamer probably about 9 times over the last 20 years, and I thought it was just a fantastic film. I'm one of, like you, I think I'm one of those Brian Wilson obsessives, and I've always felt that the story of Smile is maybe not just one of the great rock stories, but maybe one of the best stories in all of music. Tell me, for people that may not know about the story of Smile and about Brian Wilson at that time, give me a little bit of history of the record and what happened.
Sure. So Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys start having hits in 1962, and they have a run of hits. In 1966, Brian has had enough of just making hits. He hears Rubber Soul by the Beatles, and he decides he's going to make an album that beats the Beatles. And the album he makes is Pet Sounds, which is his emotional autobiography. During the course of making Pet Sounds, he writes a song and records a version of it called Good Vibrations, but he's not satisfied with it. He puts it aside, and after the Pet Sounds is released, he goes to work on Good Vibrations. It takes him months to get what he wants using this modular recording style, where he records in bits and pieces, stitches it all together. Good Vibrations comes out in October of 66, and it is a number one worldwide million-selling sensation. It's a brand new style. People are going absolutely crazy. Now, the music world is going crazy for what he's doing. When Pet Sounds comes out, he gets a call from 2 guys in England named John Lennon and Paul McCartney telling him how much they love the record. So he finds himself in kind of this competitive rivalry with the Beatles. And he decides that this next album is going to be even more out there, if you will, than Good Vibrations. And he hires a guy named Van Dyke Parks to write the lyrics for it. And he embarks on a record called Smile. And he works on it for 7 months. And for a variety of circumstances that are still inexplicable to this day. And I list about 12 reasons in the book as to why he finally shelved it in the spring of 67. He puts it on the shelf and wants to forget about it forever. It's the most destructive thing that's ever happened to this beautiful guy.
You know, it's an amazing... It's an amazing story how this happens because, like you say, there are a lot of different factors that may have led up to this. And you've heard it all from pressures from the record company to Mike Love not liking it to Van Dyke Parks leaving it to the release of Sgt. Pepper as if it's become some sort of competition for him. It always felt to me though that the defining problem was that his declining mental health made it impossible for him to continue, or at least to try to complete this. And it even like the whole story about Mrs. O'Leary's cow. Brings it like it into light. Like you say, well, maybe this is not healthy for him to continue.
Well, he decides there are 4 main reasons he chooses, and certainly the ones you outlined are all part of it. He thinks that if he releases it, it might destroy the Beach Boys. So instead, he sort of crucifies himself on this great artistic endeavor and stops. And he doesn't want to talk about it. In every interview he does for the next 36 years, people are always saying, "Hey, Brian, are you ever going to finish Smile? Are you ever going to finish Smile?" And nothing he says remotely resembles the idea that, yes, one day I'm going to go out and play it live in London in February of 2004. It's never on the table that's going to happen. And then finally, there's a series of circumstances like toppling dominoes. And one by one, things start to change in his life. And he finally decides, yes, now is the time. The world is ready for Smile. and with a great band led by Darian Sahanaja, who helps him reconstruct what Smile might have been in 1967. He goes on stage in London, and it's just the most exciting thing one has ever seen. As Brian says in the book, it's the most cathartic experience of his life. It gets great reviews. They decide to record it. It sells almost 1 million copies, worldwide tour. It's just the greatest thing that's ever happened to him.
In the film Beautiful Dreamer, there's the whole scene of Darian and Van Dyke Parks coming back into the project, and you can see in Brian's face the fear he has and the discomfort he has about this music. But he plows right through it. And for years of saying this music is inappropriate music, or there's an evilness to it, he comes out with something. And I remember hearing the record when it came out and feeling like this was just more than just music. This was like Brian Wilson's gift. It was like his big white whale. And to hear it and know the history of it, you're going, you're surrounded by what if scenarios. What if this thing had come out in 1967? How would it have competed against Sgt. Pepper? Obviously, in hindsight, no one can know the answer to that, but it always going to leave you with nothing but questions.
Well, that's for sure. What the book does, what the book called Smile, The Rise, Fall, and Resurrection of Brian Wilson does, is it tells the story of what happened in 66 and 67, and then it vaults forward to 2003 and the steps along the way that allow him to put this back together, which includes getting married again, going on tour, doing Pet Sounds on tour. There was a big tribute at Radio City Music Hall where Brian played Heroes and Villains, one of the centerpiece songs of Smile, which no one ever thought he would ever play live. So there's all these steps along the way. And what this book does, it's not me reading it, it's not me writing it so much as it's me talking to the people who were there every step of the way and getting their view of what was happening. Now, I'm there in 2003, 2004, making this film called Beautiful Dreamer. And I don't know if you remember back in high school, we had these things called Cliff Notes.
Yes.
And, you'd get assigned a book in class. Could be Julius Caesar or Gone with the Wind. Who knows what the heck the book could be. So instead of reading the book, you would read the Cliff Notes, which would give you just enough information to satisfy the teacher's assignment. Well, Nelson Bragg, who's in the Brian Wilson band, read the book, the new book, Smile, and he said, Beautiful Dreamer, the film, is the Cliff Notes version of the story. Because this story, as he said, answers every question you ever had about Smile and questions you didn't even know to ask. So it's a staggering gathering of information on my part from the interviews I've done, going all the way back to 1978 when I interviewed the great publicist Derek Taylor, who worked for the Beatles and the Beach Boys. And, along the way, I've talked to pretty much everyone involved in the story. And, again, there is no one Smile story. And so I've curated this collection of quotes into this oral history, a living history, in such a way that as you're reading the book, even though you know from what I say in the introduction that this is a celebration of what he did in 2004, even though you know that, there's this tension as it builds towards the world premiere. Is he going to walk up the steps of the stage? I mean, it's in editing the book, I had to read it, reread it, make sure all the corrections had been made by the copy editor. And every time I'm reading it, it's like, what's going to happen? That's how intense the book is. It's really this amazing journey that he's gone on. And as much as it is the finishing of this masterpiece of a piece of music, it's also the triumph of the human spirit.
Yeah.
And that I think makes it something that everyone who loves music, who wants to read an uplifting story, will get. We've got quotes from Paul McCartney, George Martin, Elton John. Brian is beloved. And why is he beloved? You'll have to read the book to find out.
David Leaf, the name of the book is the Smile, the Rise and Fall and Resurrection of Brian Wilson. I could talk to you for hours about this, David. I'm so glad that we had a chance to talk today. I appreciate the time and best of luck.
My great talking to you, Maxie.
You bet. David Leaf with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
GG.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock. It's 8:28 and Def Leppard with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Liam Neeson has the full forecast, and he will give it to you.
You know, today happens to be a Shop Tuesday. This morning at 9 o'clock, if you go to rock102.com, you can save up to 30% to Fishtails Bar and Grill in Hatfield, where you'll find what you're craving at Fishtails. Stuffed haddocks, scallops, pan-seared herb butter, salmon, and swordfish tips, fish and chips, and daily specials, including the 12 to 4 on Fridays and Saturdays. That's starting at 9 o'clock on the Shop 30 store, rock102.com. Don't miss out. 30% off Fishtails Bar and Grill in Hatfield.
There you go.
Okay.
That sounds delicious.
It does.
And we got news, and it's coming up next at Rock 102.
Here's your Western Mass News.
8:32 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news, and it's brought to you by Yankee Home. If you're thinking about a new walk-in shower system, call Yankee Home and mention Rock 102. You get $1,021 off, plus 50% off installation all month long. There's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. A month after going missing, a dog was rescued from a Western Mass storm drain where she had been trapped and unable to get free. The West Springfield Fire Department had been helping extinguish a car fire on I-91 South on Monday. The car was fully involved in flames. The fire also ruptured the gas tank, which spilled gasoline onto the roadway and was heading towards the storm drains. The driver was taken to the hospital with burns and smoke inhalation. They're expected to be okay, but it's really about the dog.
Listen, you can always buy another car. Can you ever really replace a dog that's fallen into a hole?
And I'm sure you have health insurance. You'll be fine with your burns and your smoke inhalation. How's the dog doing?
Yeah, and for the car, I'm sure most of that'll buff out. But the dog, how's the dog doing?
Well, once the car fire was extinguished, the firefighters began checking the nearby drains for any contaminants due to the spilled gasoline. However, firefighters discovered the dog instead. The dog, named Allie, was reported missing to the T.J. O'Connor Center officers over a month ago from the Forest Park area. How she managed to get inside of this storm drain located within close proximity to the highway is still unknown, TJO wrote on Facebook. But had it not been for the quick thinking of the Mass State Police, along with the West Springfield Fire Department, who knows if Allie would have made it out of that drain alive.
You know, we really don't know what's living in the sewer system below the city of Springfield.
Yeah.
We don't know if there's some sort of weird culture, some sort of dystopian type of society living in the bowels of this great city.
Well, I can tell you that I once saw this documentary about this rat who somehow got, I don't know how he got this personality to be like an expert ninja. Rat, and then he found some turtles that had spilled into some radioactive ooze.
Yes,
and became full-grown turtles, and he used his martial arts experience to teach the turtles how to be their own martial art artists, and they would go and rescue people and fight crime and things like that. And,
See,
they were teenagers, and they were kind of,
Did they eat a lot of pizza?
They ate a lot of pizza.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they would hand the Domino's guy the money through the storm drain.
Steve, I think you're describing the basic plot line to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, you've seen this?
Yes, I have.
Oh, so you know that there is an underground village living underneath the city.
We don't know. Has anyone gone down there to check? I mean, if you got one puppy dog down there, you gotta believe there's some other things going on down there.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Dog's not going down the storm drain unless it was either put there or it found something it was curious about.
What was the dog doing there? Well,
that's what I would like to know.
Allie is safe and back in the hands of her very happy owners. Also, TJO shared photos from their reuniting. Her owners are taking her to the vet to verify there are no underlying concerns from her month-long ordeal. Plus, TJO said she'll be getting a bath and a grooming. Yeah, I would imagine
a bath would be the first thing they get.
But it's nice to see that the dog. It is kind of weird. Like, how did the dog travel through the sewer system from Forest Park? Did the dog, did somebody lure the dog into the sewer system?
The dog has been missing for a month. See, to me, that's a curious part of the story. What did the dog do for an entire 30-day period?
I don't know.
Clearly wasn't paying his bills. And my guess is he was down there, living in that society that I'm talking about.
The Society of the Sewer Storm Drain People.
Yes. The Springfield sewer dogs. They're down there.
It's kind of
running around in sewer packs.
That dog must have stunk.
Oh. My dog has been very gassy lately.
Yeah.
He stinks on his own. Never mind shoving that dog down a sewer drain.
Yeah. Think of all the things that go inside of a sewer drain: gas, oil, all the things that don't get caught up in there. All that silt at the bottom of it. Because it wasn't like a sewer, like a Bondi's Island pipe.
No, but
this is like a storm drain where the water goes in and then goes back into the river.
Still, it gets all nasty and gross, and you got the breakdown of leaves and other whatnots down there.
Did you ever see that documentary, like for real? The documentary about the people that live under the city of Las Vegas? There's like a whole homeless population that live underneath the city of Las Vegas, and they're in those storm tunnels because the desert doesn't get that much rain. But when it does, the water needs somewhere to go.
And it goes down there.
It goes down there. So sometimes these people have to get evacuated and move out there. But it's like this whole village down there. Same in New York City. There's like a whole population under the old subway tunnels.
As soon as they took away those $5 all-you-can-eat buffets, those 99-cent shrimp cocktails in Las Vegas, it forced everybody to go underground.
It's crazy, isn't it?
You can't get a $5 prime rib dinner anywhere on the Strip. Anywhere. Used to be able to do that. 99-cent shrimp cocktail?
Nope.
In the middle of a desert? That was a good shrimp cocktail.
That's gone by the way of the dinosaur.
It's all gone now. Mm-hmm. Now everyone's got to live down below the surface of the casinos.
Now you got to pay $28 for a hamburger at, that's what I paid for that in Vegas.
$28 for a burger?
It wasn't even that good. It was the chef, the famous chef.
Which one?
Not Wolfgang Puck.
Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay.
Yes.
His burger bar.
Please.
$28.
Come on.
For a burger and a Coke.
And I could go to any one of our upscale burger places, get 2 burgers for that price.
Yeah.
And be perfectly satisfied.
It's bullshit, isn't it?
It is.
What it is. Most know that littering is a no-no, but that doesn't keep some folks from tossing trash onto the town's streets and roads that runs the gamut from nip bottles to used tires. On Saturday, volunteers will sweep through the town of Southwick during Southwick's Land Trust second annual Spiff Up Southwick to bag it. All you need to do is show up, that said Marissa Orbergun, the president of SLT, about the event this weekend, which is a roadside cleanup effort that is part of the Great Global Cleanup, a worldwide campaign to remove roadside litter, beautify the planet, and combat more than 15 million tons of plastic waste produced in the U.S. annually.
Did you realize that today is Earth Day, Steve?
It is?
Today is Earth Day, April 22nd.
What about Wind and Fire Day? When is that?
I really don't know. I believe it's the 21st day of September. Didn't you remember?
No, I didn't remember.
I'm surprised you forgot. Anyway, yeah, I want to participate in Earth Day, and I got an early start this morning on my way to work. I threw all the trash in my car into the street so that some of these volunteers would have something to pick up.
Oh, well, that was nice of you to do.
I was thinking ahead.
Yesterday I'm out doing some yard work, and I still have to go out there today and do it.
Yeah.
And actually get some gloves on and pick up the trash that people... It's got to be alcoholics throwing those out the window as they drive by.
All the nip bottles?
And it's mostly Fireball. Like, at least if you're going to be an alcoholic, do it with class.
What are you talking about? You extend your pinky. That's very classy.
Anybody who drinks Fireball has never uttered the phrase, I'm just going to sip this slowly. It really says a lot about you.
Yeah. Hey, last week, this is true, I didn't get a chance to talk about this. Last week, I had to pick up a bunch of garbage that was strewn all over the yard.
Yeah.
Bears got into my garbage.
Okay, well, that's bears.
Bears.
That's something that, could be preventable if you tied up your trash a little bit better. But I'm talking about people who just throw. It's not like a bear is driving by on a unicycle throwing nips of Fireball out from the unicycle.
I don't know. They
console.
weren't. I will say this bear had a real had a lot of initiative. See, there's like a retaining wall on my property.
Yeah.
And my garbage buckets are like right below the retaining wall on the ground level.
Yeah.
Well, he knocked over this bucket, pulled everything out, walked on top of the retaining wall, and that's where he ripped through the bags and everything. I had to do work to pick that up.
How much Fireball did he drink?
How
many nips of Fireball were found outside of the thing?
I didn't see any nips of Fireball.
I'm 42, I'm divorced, and I'm still trying to get my high school nickname back. That's why I'm drinking all this Fireball.
They used to call me Nipsey.
But now, I'm just a drunk bear. It's the cinnamon challenge with emotional consequences.
Hello, my name is Smokey. I'm an alcoholic. Hey, Smokey.
It's my mouthwash before I do karaoke.
I got my sponsor in speed dial. Every time I needed to call Yogi or Boo Boo, I just hit 9.
But seriously though, Fireball.
I don't
class it up a little bit. Do a little Seagram's gin or something like that.
Anytime I've had Fireball, it's like, oh, that's all right. But I'm not going to go out and buy myself a brick of it. But but real good, aggressive alcoholics buy it by the brick. Like you could, it's like they probably buy enough bricks to build like a civic center.
Well, you could infuse your own by getting like a bottle of Popov and just shoving packs of Big Red inside. It's the same, and let it sit for a couple of days.
But then you got a whole wad of Big Red at the bottom of the bottle.
Yeah, but that's kind of like the old Aftershock bottles. Remember trying to get the rock candy out of the bottom of the Aftershock bottle? Did you ever try to do that?
Or like getting the worm out of the tequila.
We tried to do that when we were youngsters. Tried to get that rock candy out of the bottom.
Yeah.
But you never knew if you were chipping away glass along with the rock candy inside the bottle.
Well, that's part of the surprise of it all, isn't it?
Yeah, you never know if you're
going to have a little bit of candy or an ambulance ride.
Your Pioneer Valley forecast today, it is going to be eventually mostly sunny with a high of 73. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 69. It's 50 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 8:50 and Joan Jett with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
You know what's really refreshing after running 3 miles?
No, what?
Cake and ice cream.
You're damn right about that.
That's right.
I always felt that that's the best way to do it. To train is to pack on as many calories as possible after you've just drained all your system from all those electrolytes.
Well, you've burned everything off. You might as well go pig out.
The UMass 5K Dash and Dine is set to begin on Saturday, April 26th. They've been doing it for years. And in the studio with us right now from UMass Dining, Brandy Sullivan. And from the Amherst Survival Center is Kelly Jewell.
Good morning.
Great to see you guys.
Thanks so much for having us. We're excited to talk about it.
So how many years has this been now? This has been quite a long event.
14 years.
That's what I thought.
14 years.
Wow.
That's great. I think I was part of the first one.
Really?
Yeah, that's how long I've been here.
14
I used to run this thing, and the hardest part about running this thing was the hills at UMass, which is like they're killer. But I think they've rerouted it.
We do have a new USA Track and Field certified race. The route has changed a little bit, but there's not many hills, so you can probably figure it out.
Yeah, you're going to find this interesting. He ran in this 14 years ago. For the last 14 years, I've always said every year, hey, good luck running that thing.
Yeah.
Every year.
You can walk it as well.
Yeah, right. You can walk it too. You could walk it too.
But starting with the day at 9 a.m., you check in for the
day
thing.
of registration, 9 a.m. We also have a fun run that starts at 10.
Oh, I beat those kids.
Yes, of course.
Every year I beat those kids.
Taking them out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we also have raffles and lots of fun things for spectators and cheerleaders to participate in.
Yeah, you got to show up early and check out that raffle table. It is not playing around, and all of the proceeds from the entire event go to supporting the Amherst Survival Center.
Oh, very cool.
Well, I want to ask you about that, a little bit more about the Survival Center. Tell everybody, what it's all about and what they do.
Sure. The Amherst Survival Center connects residents of Franklin and Hampshire County to food, clothing, healthcare, social connection, primarily through volunteer support. We have about 477 volunteers a year. And last year, we provided about 1.6 million meals, both prepared through our community meals program and groceries through our food pantry to over 11,500 people. And so we are presently seeing record need, which is why amazing community events like UMass's Dash and Dine 5K, where you're right, you do the carb loading on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In the beginning, these events are really amazing. We rely on the community.
So we've done, as you know, a lot of work with food insecurity over the years, and I know that like here in Hampden County, we've had significant numbers. You talk about the increased numbers up north a little bit. Tell us a little bit about the amount of need this year as opposed to years in the past.
Absolutely. Well, I think that this number really is kind of easy to imagine in a way, but is really, dramatic, which is that last year we saw more than 3,600 people turn to the food pantry for the first time.
Wow.
For the very first time, they're turning to us, asking questions, how am I going to make my next meal work? And that's a lot of people to be asking that question. But when they come to the center, they're going to find up to 2 weeks of groceries per person in their household every month, a hot meal from the community meals program every day. So we're out there already.
You're busy.
Yeah.
Goes
You're
a
busy.
long way.
Yeah.
Now, UMass Dining, of course, have been doing this for a good long period of time. You guys brought a cake. It's so beautiful. I can't even imagine cutting into it.
I'm sure you'll
Oh, no, I'll find a way. I'm just saying that.
It is so beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an absolutely beautiful cake.
Kudos to Marie at the bake shop at UMass for sure. She did an awesome job.
She did that by hand, too, didn't she?
She did it by hand.
Yeah.
Brandy, you were saying that the printer wasn't working, so she did do all that decoration
She
by
did
hand. It is
yesterday.
stunning.
It's weird. If I tried putting a cake through our printer up here in the radio station, I'd probably get docked pay. Pretty sure of it.
Different.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're excited again to help support. That's such a great cause, and over the years we've been able to at least over $50,000 to help support the Amherst Survival Center, and it's a great way for the students to kind of plug in. A lot of our students haven't even run a race before, so it's a good way for them to see a certified race, and have a nice meal afterwards too.
It's such a great community event, and we're so grateful to UMass for hosting it year
I'm glad you're doing this at 11 a.m. I can't imagine a college kid after a night of partying at UMass is going to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and run at 8 o'clock at a race.
They'll make their way.
I know I wouldn't have.
Well, those are the kinds of kids that don't really volunteer for much. the ones you're talking about.
At least you're getting a award-winning dining hall experience afterwards.
And in the community too, like number one campus dining 8 years in a row. So we're open to the community.
So let's talk about the amount of volunteers you have for this. I mean, again, it's a 5K race. There's always a lot of you have tables for raffles and everything else. How many volunteers do you guys get for this?
Volunteers are probably over 200.
Wow.
To map the route and such, but definitely our staff is really we take this on passionately. It's we definitely are on fire for it. And Run UMass registration is open now. If you don't want to stand in line, day of registration is available, as well as right now runumass.com.
All right,
very good. It's this Saturday, April 26th. It's the UMass 5K Dine and Dash. Brandy Sullivan from UMass Dining and Kelly Jewell from the Survival Center. Great to see you.
Thanks so much for
happy
having us.
birthday to my son.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Happy birthday, Jack.
All right, way to go, Jack.
Happy birthday, Jack.
Happy birthday, Jack.
How old is Jack?
He's 20.
20?
20?
He doesn't need a birthday shot. He's too old for that. We take the bet.
Thank you.
It's just about 8:57 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.